Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome into Movement Parallels Life. My name's Kellen Mylad. Thank you for joining me for this 20-minute movement practice. So this is going to be a low to moderate intensity session. Nothing crazy, but the idea here is to get your body moving. So we're jumping right into things today with some simple joint articulations. You can follow along with me. This is just a way to check in with your body. It doesn't need to be a big deal, and we're going to get going with the session in just a minute or two. After this quick mobility check-in, we're going to jump right in on today's workout. We've got 15 movements on tap today, and we're going to explore each one of those movements for about 65 seconds. The focus here is on blending strength, foundational mobility, and just basic coordination and athleticism. So once again, this is the type of practice that's going to be great for your active recovery days, or this type of practice will help you fill in the gaps and help you build a stronger foundation for your more intensive fitness training. So as usual, I encourage you to take this practice at your own pace. Don't think of these movements as exercises that have a single exact form, but I want you to take this time to explore the movements and get used to listening to your body. One of the things that I find most interesting about this practice and this style of movement is that it's simple, but it's deep. Now, there's plenty of time to go into those depths and refine these movements. I've been doing this practice for almost 10 years now, and I step onto my mat and I continue to learn about my body and my mechanics by going over these patterns. At the same time, if you're just getting started, I want you to focus on having fun. Don't get so caught up with worrying about whether or not you're doing it right or if you have perfect form. I want you to prioritize safety, and as you move, I want you paying attention to your body and trying to create these positions that are as strong as possible and movements that are as smooth and well coordinated as possible. At the same time, I invite you to let go of any expectations you have. I want you to let go of being in a rush. Building a movement practice is a process in and of itself, and going through this process can be fun. It can be low key. It can add value to your life in subtle ways just by showing up, getting on your mat, and putting in the work. So often in this space of movement and fitness, the conversation is dominated by this idea of having hard set goals and achieving those goals as quickly as possible. And I don't think that's wrong, but I want to balance out this conversation by inviting you to make your practice of movement and health a holistic, long-term process. In my experience, that process comes together through consistent, mindful practice and a willingness to shift your mindset, be able to apply different ways of thinking to different intentions in different situations. So that's just a quick introduction to give you some context for this practice and set the tone. But now we're going to start off with our first movement. You can get down to the ground and start off in a long sit position, just working a stretch here, and then cross your legs, come to a cross sit position. Same idea. Move around a little bit, twist, reach, fold forward, and switch your cross-legged position. Do the same thing. Hunt around your body and feel where the tight areas are and use these positions to get a stretch that feels amazing for you. As we're starting here, be kind to your body and work within your available range of motion. Support your stretch with strength and intention, and don't forget to breathe. Now, your movements don't have to look exactly like my movements, but you can use me as a reference point and for some ideas on how to explore. Of course, that sound means that we're switching patterns. Next, transition into a kneeling position, and we're going to move from a low kneeling position into a half kneeling stretch, alternating sides. Feel the stability that's created by bracing your core and upper back and by rooting your feet into the ground. Build your mobility by actively pulling into the creases of your hips and ankles. Add variation to the pattern by exploring different angles, reaching, rotating, or folding forward. Sorry that my camera is freaking out a little bit here. These pulses will chill out after about a minute and a half. Next, we'll stay in our kneeling position but transition to hip rotations. You can perform this movement from either a low kneeling or a tall kneeling position depending on how this feels on your knees. And then simply shift weight to one side, rotate your hip open by rolling over the inside edge of the big toe. As you're going through this pattern, give your body as much support as it needs. Kneel on a blanket, use props, or keep your hands in contact with the ground for extra stability. Explore the positions and find the sensations of stretch that feel best for you. Add variation and start to play by adding rotation to bring your movement into all planes. Transition to a side sit position. Next, we've got hip swivels with a rise up to kneeling. Start with your hands posted behind your hips for stability, and if that feels easy, take your hands off the ground. From this side sit position, drive your hips forward and rise up onto your knees. Reach overhead or behind to add an additional stretch. Next, we're changing our pattern to a figure 4 rock up. From a sitting position, round your spine and rock back onto your shoulders. Keep your core braced strong and use your momentum to rock up into a half kneeling position. As you rock up, one leg will be tucked in close to your hips, the other leg will be slightly extended. Plant your heel and use it to pull yourself up into the half kneeling position. You can incorporate variation here by adding rotation to the rocking movements and finishing the rock up with a reach. Rock up one last time, plant your hands and step back to a crawl position. Next up, we've got a contralateral crawl balance. Keep your arms locked out and your knees hovering low to the ground. Pick up your opposite hand and foot, pause, and switch. You can add variation to this pattern by extending your opposite arm and leg or incorporating rotation. Next, we'll transition into a high hip crawl, spinal extension combination. You can stay in your foot hand crawl position, elevate your hips, and extend your legs. Enjoy the stretch through your shoulders and posterior chain, then shift your weight forward, pressing your hips into the floor and transitioning into a spinal extension. While in your high hip crawl, you can find an additional stretch by taking one hand and reaching for your opposite foot. Work through this sequence at your own pace, incorporating any variations that feel right for you. Let's move on. Next up, we've got kick throughs and tripod get ups. So these movements are essentially the same pattern, but the kick through is going to keep us in a crawl position, and the tripod get up is going to bring us up to standing. From your crawl position, set up your contralateral balance. Rotate away from your support arm and kick through with your free leg. Keep it roughly perpendicular to your body. Draw the leg back, return to your crawl position, and switch sides. For the tripod get up, pause in your kick through. As you rotate back, draw the leg underneath your body and step into a wide stance and rise up to standing. Integrate your kick throughs and your tripod get ups, and this is a great opportunity to start to build some intensity in today's practice. All right, perform a get up to rise up to standing, and next we're going to transition into multi-plane lunges. Stay light on the balls of your feet. Take a big step, extending into the lunge as if you were catching an object that was rolling off the counter. Alternate from side to side, explore different angles and different tempos. Time for our switch. We're going to return to our figure four rock ups, but instead of pausing in the half kneeling position, we're going to take this all the way up to standing. This is our figure four get up. You can pause in a strong half kneeling position before you rise up to standing, or use your momentum to make it one fluid action. At the top of the movement, be in an athletic stance ready to move. Take a step back to retreat or incorporate a jump. Rise up to standing, and we're moving on to swing jumps. The focus here is on single leg stabilization in all planes. In addition to the push off your standing leg, lean into each jump and swing your arms. Work in a distance where you can stick your landings. Once you feel confident in your control, start to branch your movement out into all planes. All right, make your way down to the ground. Next up, we've got lateral foot hand crawling. Set up a strong crawl position and shuffle step from side to side. Keep your arms locked out, knees hovering low to the ground, and hips and head at the same level. And if you're feeling like you want to mix it up a little bit, add some of these lateral crawl hops. Transition onto your back. Next up, we've got a core favorite, our supine lying cross crawl. With this pattern, you can stay lying on your back or add more of a sit-up with each rotation. In either case, the most important part is making a strong cross-body connection. You'll feel a much stronger activation throughout your core when you press your hand, forearm, or elbow firmly into your opposite knee. All right, now rock up and transition into an inverted crawl position. Next up, we've got alternating bridge reaches. Remove one hand from the ground, plant your feet, drive your hips to the sky, and open into a back bend as you extend into the reach. Explore your open space, sweeping your arm through your available range of motion. Be mindful as you move and listen to your body. Don't push past pain and don't move into any angles that feel sketchy or unsafe. Gently lower down from your bridge and we'll transition into the final movement in today's practice, backwards rolls. The key with our rolls is that we want to support the weight primarily on the back of the shoulder and lightly on the side of the head rather than rolling over the crown of the head. Start in a sitting position with your chin tucked, looking down at your dominant shoulder. Rock back and kick overhead. Use the momentum to drive you into the back roll. Tucking your chin and looking down at your shoulder will ensure the proper weight distribution. Whichever shoulder you're rolling over, you might extend that same side arm out to the side. You might also use your opposite hand for additional balance. As you rock back, keep the back of your palm facing away from the ground. Plant your hand just next to your head to give you that additional balance as you complete the roll. All right, that's time, and our practice today is complete. Great job. Now go ahead, settle in on your mat. We'll take 2 minutes of stillness to wrap things up today. This is the perfect time to focus in on your breathing and double back to some of the movements and positions that we started off with. Kneeling and half kneeling variations, cross-legged sitting, and long sit or straddle sitting. And in this little pocket of time, you can reflect on how this practice went for you, or simply clear your mind and just pay attention to what's going on in your body. Now, no doubt, there's a slew of physical benefits to this practice, building mobility, foundational strength and stability, and increasing overall body awareness. And beyond those immediate physical benefits, there's also an opportunity here to change your perspective on movement. Make movement more of a way of life instead of just exercise. Use movement as a way to heal and restore your body, bridge the gap between your everyday life and your fitness goals. And to go even further with this, there's also an opportunity to reclaim more joy and play in your everyday life and to create a better, healthier, more adaptive relationship with your own body. All of these potential benefits in a simple and accessible practice. No equipment necessary. All you need is your body and some open space. So thank you for coming out to move with me today. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this practice, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the links below because I have a ton more movement goodness that I'd love to share with you. All right, my friend, that's it for me today. I'm out of here, but take good care of yourself. Keep on moving, and I'll see you in the next practice.